Hi there, I'm Beth Stefaniak from messymarriage.com with a second part to my Questioning Marriage series that is answering a question from a wife who wants her husband to begin to communicate with her. Last time I talked through 3 steps that she could take. The first being to find outlets like a godly girlfriend to hold her accountable and prayer processing with the Lord, as the Lord is another outlet for her. The second thing would be to adjust her expectations, which would kind of naturally happen if she's doing that first step of finding accountability and prayer processing. But it also is something she needs to start to begin to be aware of in her day. And the third step was to affirm her husband daily for 2 weeks, at least 2 weeks. So today I'm going to begin with the fourth step, almost said the third step, the fourth step in this process, which is to apologize for her part in the debacle of their communication, the troubles that they've been having up to that point. And that can be difficult, tricky for a wife to do. Communication is not for the faint of heart. It's a challenging situation. But I think that if she has been prayer processing, especially with the Lord and with her godly friend, and been processing through her feelings, that she will at this point surely understand some of the ways that she's hurt her relationship and hindered the communication between herself and her husband. So that would be where she would begin, is just to say, I am so sorry for how I've done, and be very specific, be very clear about what it is you've done, and say, I hope that you can forgive me for that, and I hope that we can do differently because of the way I want to change, and here's how I want to change moving forward. I would even go that far in your apology. So that's the fourth step in this. And after that, continue for 2 more weeks, affirming daily, adjusting your expectations, and looking to those outlets like your girlfriend to hold your feet to the fire, and the Lord to give you insight, prayer processing daily. So you give it 2 more weeks, and then I would suggest that you invite him to share an issue, let's say at dinner time, from his day. It could be anything. Just say, how was your day? What was a high or a low? And then you take on the role of the best listener ever. You put aside any agenda to try and fix what he's saying or to correct him in any way. You just simply listen. You reflect back what you hear him say. You even ask a few questions, and I'm going to be providing those questions to you in a listening guide. If you looked at last week's post on messymarriage.com, you saw those questions because I included them in last week's post. So use those questions to ask questions, to prompt him to open up and to share more about what he's feeling. He will be, I think, stunned because probably if your communication grinded to a halt, like it seems in this woman's case that it did, that probably he's feeling like, who is this woman? Has some alien come and snatched her from the real wife that I know? So he will begin to open up and feel much more relaxed in that encounter. So do that nightly. Don't necessarily say, hey, this is what I want to do. Just do it and see how he responds and how he begins to warm towards you. Take note of that and be encouraged by that. Do that for 2 weeks, asking him at dinner time or some other really good time for you and your schedule, you and your husband's schedule. Now the next and last step, which is really not the last step, truthfully, because it can be something you piggyback on. But the first step I would take in 2 weeks after you've allowed your husband to open up to you every night at dinner is to ask him, would you mind listening to some issue that I'm struggling with? And it can't be, this is important, that first time out, it can't be about him. It can't be anything related to him. That means don't talk about some issue that you as parents are struggling with. Talk about something that is totally unrelated to him. Maybe a conflict you have with a girlfriend, maybe even a trouble that you have at work. It could be even some spiritual issue, although that can be tricky too, especially if he's an unbeliever. So just something that he would feel comfortable listening to. And he would use the listening guide this time that you used maybe to ask and help him to open up. He will use that. You'll provide that for him. If not, you can just simply say to him, please just reflect back what I said and don't add to what I'm saying. Don't comment on what I'm saying. I just want to talk right now. So do that. Do that one time, and then for the next 2 weeks, you're still doing steps 1, 2, 3, and you're also beginning to build a rapport with him at dinner time. You're listening more. You're being that person who's a safe place for him to open up with. After 2 more weeks, after you've prayed through this, you might even suggest to him, hey, I would like to talk about something that's bothered me about our relationship. And I don't want to come at this from a negative or critical angle. I really want to work through this. I really want us to be a team in this. And so I'm going to use some tools. I'd like to use some tools with you if you'd be willing. So let's look at a time when we could do that. So let him help you figure out when that time would be. Let him decide whether or not he even wants to do that. He may not be ready. And if he's not ready at that point, then just do all those steps 1 through 5 repeatedly, rinse and repeat, I think in time, he's going to reflect back on that request that you made of listening to some issue that you guys have in your marriage. And he's going to eventually say, I think I'm ready. I think I'm ready to take that big step of just listening and trying to hear what you have to say about it. And this is also important. You don't try to problem solve in that particular encounter. You can add an element of that, but really I would give it maybe another couple of weeks before you even enter into the problem solving mode on those kinds of things. I'm going to be providing tools for each of these steps. Again, I would encourage you to take it very slow, to go day by day, building into that relationship, strengthening his trust and his comfort level with you. And I think in time, you're going to see a drastic difference in him and maybe a drastic difference in yourself as well.